Oh God. Oh. How do I turn this off? That's oh my God, it's fracturing oh my goodness, what is happening? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to do it again. There we go. I'm done. So, hello, welcome. My name is Rob, and I'm from that channel Performance Check, and I'm just messing around with the stuff that's just randomly appeared on the live thing. Very interesting. I'm here once again to answer some more questions for the RPG a day questions that are put forward for the build up to BrigadeCon. Now, I've just been doing like a whole bunch in a row just because a lot of them I can't answer, like I can't fill a stream with some of these questions. I'm gonna be honest, they're pretty stupid, is all I'm going to say. And I know what they're for, and I know it means well, and I know it's for a great cause, but the questions, come on, guys. So what I'm going to do is, whilst, if people show up, then we'll talk after I've done the questions, because I also want to address something that was brought up in the community a little earlier. I know Lloyd did a video in response to Matt Colville, who I personally do enjoy his videos, but I want to talk about this particular video because I then watched it and was like, interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to read some questions, some really dumb questions, and then not all of them are done, but some of them are. What RPG is good to play for 10 sessions? Any. Like, come on, any. Like, what? Do you want to plan just 10 sessions? Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever thought to myself, I want to run this game for 10 sessions. It's just not how I function, I'm afraid. I mean, it's all very well, like, if you, I don't know, if you've planned out a campaign and say you're just using D&D, for instance, and you think, right, I've got 10 dungeons, and each, each dungeon will be a session. But to be honest with you, I don't think to myself, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan a 10-session campaign. Now, I understand it's a little different when it comes to one-shots or even trilogies, because there's a finite things that you want to achieve. But, for 10 sessions, I don't know. That's just not how I think. So that's my answer to that one. I'm sorry it's underwhelming. Next question. Question 10. Where do you go for RPG reviews? There's this thing called the internet. That I enjoy the functions of immensely, and I would recommend the internet to you as well for RPG reviews. I'm such a sanctimonious prick sometimes, I can't help it. But, come on, like, okay, so I'll answer earnestly. For RPG reviews, my mates, like people that I trust, people that I know play the hobby, you guys in the community, I hear of all sorts of stuff just from you guys. Like, I probably wouldn't have heard of Simba Room if, like, I wasn't in the community. I wouldn't have heard of, just trying to think, Black Hack, for instance, that kind of thing. So, yeah, my mates, I think, and the community is much easier than, I don't know. Well, no, it's not easier. Just go to Google. You want to find out about our RPG? Google it. Like, this is very, very simple. It's a very simple concept. Next question. Number 11. Which dead game would you like to see reborn? Dead game. I keep bringing this up. Primetime Adventures. Primetime Adventures is technically a dead game because it's not in print anymore. It's not being published. Primetime Adventures is a fantastic game. If you don't know about Primetime Adventures, go to the other stream I did that's now on Performance Check as well. You can go and see it, the RPG A Day questions. Go over there, because I talk about Primetime Adventures. I'll mention it very briefly here. So, very, very basic system based on just using a simple deck of cards, a normal deck of cards, aces, hearts, clubs, and spades. and if you draw a red, then it's a success. If you draw a black, then it's a failure. But depending on what sort of stuff that your characters have, depends on how many cards you can draw. So, and it's all about making your own television show and your TV actors, but playing characters as well. And depending on how famous your actor gets, the more abilities they get to do on screen and more screen time they get. So I would say Primetime Adventures. I am planning on getting the rules and running it for online somehow. Yeah, I've just realised that I said aces, didn't I? I said aces. Oh my god, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Hearts, diamonds, spades and clubs. There, fine. Okay, so Primetime Adventures would be it. 12, question 12. Which RPG has the most inspiring interior art? Symbaroom's got really good art. I've never played it, but it's got really good art. Like, they sold that RPG to me simply by the nature of the art. You know, great material in there. In fact, you could probably get away with buying the book and just having it as a coffee table book because it's that stunning, that gorgeous. And there's a lot of attention to detail. There's a lot of subtle, nuanced pieces of work in Symbaroom. And I really want to play it at some point, but it kind of just came and went. Like, it was like everyone was talking about it in the community for quite some time, and then it sort of just vanished. And I'm not going to run it because I'm incredibly lazy. I don't learn systems by getting the book and reading them. Well, that's not true. I do, but like I generally get more acclimatized to them by playing them first. Maybe that's something I should do soon. Run Symbaroom because I think I'd really like it. So that's number 12. Number 13. Describe a gaming experience that changed how you play. Okay, well that's something. It gives me something to go on, doesn't it? Describe a gaming experience that changed how you play. Let me have a sip of tea. I see there's loads of people actually. I'll read some comments before I carry on. There's a few people here. Lloyd Collins has joined. Hey man. Carol Dunster. Hey. Carol says I'm here. Hey. Lloyd says, these fucking questions. I know, man. My goodness. Alan Holloway joined. Hey, man. Rory Madonna says, Lloyd, if players surrender an Iscloth, what's the likelihood they get to live? That's interesting. Lloyd, answer him. Not very high. Well, actually, no, I don't think that's true, actually. They could become thralls. I don't know. Lloyd will tell you. Alan Holloway says, the internet. Maybe you have heard of it. Yeah, like the internet. Use the internet. It's at your waking fingertips. You know, that's not an expression. Your very fingertips. Lloyd says, sir, the sarcasm meter is broken. I can't help it. Jeff Doty joined. Hey man. Roy Miller says, is the video playing for anyone else? Oh no. Carol says, yes, Rory McDonough. Oh, okay. Oh, I got worried then. Lloyd says, totally depends. Thralls are really valuable. I think there's a really good chance that surrender leads to living, although it would be as a slave. We're going to get to surrender in a little bit. I will be throwing my my lot into this subject in a moment. Carol says, refresh your screen. Okay, I'm just reading like tech comments now. Rory's talking about tech. Lloyd says, Ace is one of the 4 suits of cards. Is it, Rob Coletta? Yes, it is, Lloyd. It is now. Yes, I know I made a mistake. Thank you very much for that, Lloyd, for making me go over that again. Making me look fool. There we go. Rory's now fixed his screen. Sorry, man. I only asked because I thought we were all waiting on the feed. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So the next question. I said it was describing a gaming experience that changed how you play. Okay, so I think my gaming style has sort of evolved quite naturally, and it's all from in person. Like, to begin with, that was how I started playing role-playing games from when I was very, very young, and it kind of developed from there. But I guess that my gaming experience changed when I came online because I'd never done it. I'd seen online games played. I was introduced to this community through watching the Provokers, like I think a number of people here were. So, but I don't think it's really changed the way I put my games together. I think I just, I don't know. I just think, yeah, like, I mean, one thing that I'm always aware of, is with lawkeepers, like and some people might disagree with me, like that this should be like I wouldn't call it a priority, but it's something that I consider. Is like I do consider the people watching the game as well, because I like it to be watchable. I like it to be entertaining, and that's kind of like the challenge that I brought on board. So I think that changed how I play because but I'm not playing to the audience. I'm playing to the players still. So I don't know. Is there obviously the equipment and things like that? That's kind of obvious. I'm definitely more nervous when I run a game online than I am in person because, and it's not even because of people watching. I'm weirdly used to that, but it's more of the fact that like I am technophobic in some cases, and Google Hangouts itself is very temperamental, and I worry that that messing up will ruin the experience. So there's positives and negatives to the way it's changed. But yeah, first online game that I ever was in, and I can thank Tim for this. Tim Carney was the first online game I was in was Dragon Grin, where I was alongside Locrius and Mike Lacham. So I did very well for my first game. So yeah, and then it was straight onto Lawkeepers, and then shortly after, a little while after, Middle Earth, and there we go. So that's 13, and then finally question 14: which RPG do you prefer for open-ended RPG play? Well, there's loads. If you want me to choose one, there's loads that I play open-ended. Okay, well, I would say D&D is a standard, but like that's an obvious answer. Like I always play D&D, so I will say Star Wars is good. Any edition of Star Wars. I'm talking about the setting because when I've run Star Wars, I basically give my players a ship and say, off you go. You know, I obviously give them a storyline, but I also like the idea of giving them their own spaceship. The previous campaign, I've spoken about this before. I ran a Star Wars trilogy, and in that, they had the same ship all the way from the beginning to end, called the Kestrel Nova, which was originally, I believe it was Exar Kun's ship, or was it Ulic Kildroma's ship? It was a canon ship, but it took place shortly after that period of time in Star Wars Old Republic. So they had like a canon ship, sort of canon ship. And yeah, they could basically just go to any planet they want. They were like, I want to go to Renvar. I'm like, all right, let's go to Renvar. And because I'm confident with Star Wars, I can sort of riff on the material, and I can sort of use the trusty Wikipedia as well if I know exactly where they're going as well. Wikipedia is great. Other ones I would say are the World of Darkness games. If I'm avoiding D&D, I think World of Darkness is great. If you've got the right bunch of players, that is, and you're not playing with incredibly moody kind of types that World of Darkness can attract. No, that's generalizing. That's not a nice thing to say. Sort of true though. In particular, campaign that I played in, I was an insane vampire of the Malkavian bloodline, and their whole dig is that they're insane, and he's a priest, and he believes that he doesn't believe he's a vampire. He believes he's still just like him, but he's walking in like hell. He basically, everything he sees is a flame, and he sees like tortured, horrible people that need to be punished. Like he was crazy, but like in a really good kind of way. He was funny. He announced he was a vampire on live television as well, which was breaking the masquerade, which if you don't know the law, if you break the masquerade, if you reveal the existence of vampires to the world, you are going to be executed by the elder vampires, the Primarchs or whatever they're called. Primogens, sorry. And he announced that he was a vampire in the middle of a live baseball game in the really big arena that's in New York that I can't remember the name of. So open-ended games that isn't D&D, Star Wars, Vampire, or World of Darkness, just because you were just dropped into a setting and you're allowed to do whatever you want, and you are backed up by an intense amount of material that you can use. So there you go. Those are the RPG questions, RPG questions, lamentable as they are. I'm gonna I'm gonna see, because I see there's more comments, and then I'm gonna get on to talking about surrendering and Matt Colville's one of his latest videos. So Lloyd was saying, I'll go back to that comment actually, because that was really cool about the surrendering. Okay. So Lloyd says, wouldn't it be good if you could have one or more persons in these live Facebook vids? Not that you're not entertaining, mate. It would just be a fun feature. I think that is a feature now, isn't there? That is a feature, I think, Lloyd. I think there's like a little plus thing, and you can add people to the conversation. If you want to jump in, man, you're welcome. But I don't think you will want to jump into this, not after those questions. Up to you. But yeah, I think that is a feature. So, Carol says it's called Hangouts, Lloyd Collins. Carol's Carol's laying down some flame there. Yeah, I guess it is called Hangouts. Lloyd says Rob is a Luddite, can confirm. And then he says, fuck's sake, what a stupid question. What was the stupid question? Like, which one? Pinpoint which one, Lloyd? It's an endless stream of ridiculousness. Alan Holloway says, yay, World of Darkness, but I agree on the players aspect. It takes a select group of players to make a good game. Oh, did I say that? Maybe. Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. Of course it does. Of course it does. You need good players to make a good game. I guess if they're not good players, then it won't be a good game, I suppose. Lloyd says, Rob, can you run Vampire? I'd love to play that sometime. Dude, absolutely, I would run some Vampire for you. Why didn't you say it before? Yeah, I'll happily, I'll have to, refresh myself on it. But yeah, D10 system, it's not, that difficult to pick up, and there's good lore into it. But the thing is about World of Darkness, I find it's, I don't think it's you have to, I think to play it at its best, you have to play it in the setting. You don't homebrew it so much. You can, but I think the best way to do it is in its, entirety with everything in it. So that includes having the vampires at large, that's including the masquerade, that's including the werewolves that are around, that's including the mages that's around, that's including changeling, that's including everything. It's got to be on the peripheries, maybe not involved, but definitely operating. And Alan Holloway says Vampire 5e is coming, man. Yeah, I've heard that. So White Wolf have been bought up, haven't they, or something like that. But anyway, I digress. I do enjoy talking about this kind of thing with you guys. Though we should we should do it more often. We should do this more often. So what was I going to talk about? That's right, surrendering. So Matt Colville, bless his cotton socks. I quite like Matt Colville, despite myself on a few occasions. I find that Matt is very knowledgeable. He's been a DM for, I'd say Matt like I know him. He's been a DM for 30 years or something. He's been playing for 30 years anyway, and he has a huge breadth of experience of the hobby. He's really entertaining to watch and has really, really great insights on stuff. I'm saying this as a precursor because I find that sometimes when he says something, that's what he considers to be the gospel. And I happen to disagree with him on this point. And he's saying that essentially, when people show up to play D&D, they show up to have a good time, roll some dice, correct, and be heroes. And I'm like, okay, it's the be heroes thing. I get that. Yeah, totally. Be a hero. That's fine. And he's saying that you, as a DM, shouldn't put, as he put it, unwinnable situations into your game. And I'm probably going to be paraphrasing what he's saying or misquoting, so it could be argued back against me. But the general gist is that there should always be a way to come out on top. And you know what? Part of me thinks to myself, never say never, absolutely, but there should be, points where surrendering and routing are the better options, are the smarter options. I don't know about you guys watching, but in fact, I'm pretty sure that most of the people that I've read comments from, I've seen how you guys play and run games, and I can say in full confidence that we're all pretty smart in terms of the way that we run our games. And I know for a fact that we reward smart thinking in our games. Now, I would say that planting your feet and holding your ground, or charging into a host of enemies that you can't possibly defeat, is arguably not smart playing. And you can say, oh well, if it's the story, I'm a hero and I want to overcome the odds and I want to be, and I get that, but the other thing Matt Colville said was like, he said about if you want to be telling a good story, go and write a novel, which is something I took a issue with. Not in it, like it didn't trigger me. I'm not a triggerable kind of person. That's not true. I am. I go nuts if someone mentions I don't know what. But yeah. So he basically says that he doesn't like that. He doesn't like unwinnable situations. And I think, for there to be like real impact in any kind of thing like this, there has to be stakes, and there has to be the fact that they can lose. And programming and typing into your or scratching into your DM notes like different ways of how they can beat them, all very well and good. But there should be an equal amount of things of how the enemy can win as well. And if you don't have stakes, then you don't care. It's not exciting. If you're running into a band, I believe the example was given that it was a cave network or something filled with bandits, basically, loads and loads of bandits. But if there isn't a possibility that you might lose, then then what's the point? If you want to just like continually win, you should just go and play a video game. If you just want to just wipe through people and I get that can happen in role-playing games as well, but if you die in a video game, there isn't really that much stakes because you can just load the game and you start again. You start at the very beginning of the cave in Skyrim, or you bloody go back to the beginning of the zone in Sonic the Hedgehog, but with role-playing games, if you die, that's one of the best things about it, is because if you die, then that's it, under very special circumstances, or at least it should be special circumstances, the players, that's it, you're done, you won't come back, and that's what gives role-playing games such an it's so exciting because of that. Real, genuine stakes for the characters in the story. So yeah, I kind of disagree with him. And also, this is the thing. This is the secret that you're forgetting, Matt Colville. I keep want to say him Colville. This is the secret you're forgetting, mate. So many great opportunities come from defeat and from surrender. So many great kind of, and I'm not fine if you don't want to consider it as a story, considering it as an experience then that your players are going through. Consider it as challenges, role-playing challenges. You have to now role-play your the terms of your release. You have to bargain with an enemy that has an upper hand over you now. They could kill you if they want. You're robbing your players of the experience of breaking out of a jail. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I know it's overdone. I know it's like a trope, but isn't it great? I love it when you have to bust out of jail and get your stuff back and slit guards' throats and stuff, and so even something as simple as that. All I'm saying is, even if you don't like that trope, you're robbing yourself of new encounters with different stakes and different methods of play. If people keep charging into bandit encampments and just keep fighting and not consider any other option, you're just going to get the same session over and over and over again. And that's not fun. That's a finite in what can happen in your game. Whereas if you allow other things like surrender, like defeat to be a thing, not only do you happen to be telling a better story, you're also putting a game in front of your players where there are different stakes, different strategies to be explored. So that's my 10 cents on it anyway. I can see that I'm getting quite a lot of people chatting today, so I'm going to have a quick look back through the comments. Alan Holloway says, White Wolf is about to do a relaunch. That's really fantastic. I do really like White Wolf. One of the first games that I ever played as well was that New York one I was telling about, and I was so excited. I've never told the story of Jonah and Squeak. Jonah was my vampiric priest that I played, and Squeak was his Nosferatu buddy who believed all of his powers derived from a raggedy old Santa hat that he wore because of an insanity thing that he got. He just thought that that's what the source of his powers. So, like, if he ever lost his Santa hat, like, he would not be able to use his powers because he didn't believe he could. It was nuts. It was stupid. And we dropped a homeless person off a skyscraper in the name of justice. Long story. I'll go into it sometime. Alan Holloway says, I wouldn't say unwinnable situations. Sorry, I'm still laughing about dropping the homeless person. Fun game. Alan Holloway says, I wouldn't say unwinnable situations, but never only have one outcome. I think it's a better way of going about it. If players win, then X. If they fail, then Y, and so forth. Yeah, man. And I think also, and this is something in fairness to Matt Colville, I can't say his name. In fairness to him, he does say, look, it isn't fair if like you drop something in front of your players without any warning, where they have literally no chance of beating them, and then you wipe them out and you just kill them. And in some games, I think that can actually work, but I know in others, I kind of agree with him. I kind of agree with allowing the players to understand what they're getting themselves into before they do it. I get that, and then it allows them to prepare. Totally on board for that, but I'm not on board for like completely taking away the idea of them being outmatched, outclassed, captured, or them forcing them to surrender or rout, because you're missing out on so many opportunities, gaming or storytelling. Doesn't matter how you play D&D, whether it be in pretzel or completely narrative. It's the same. You're missing out if you do that. Mike Sham says, Vampire, I miss this, but keen as a new sword. Mate, you're in. You're in, mate. Yeah, well, mate. Yeah, I don't know why I'm talking like this. It's because I'm late. I'm so overtired. Been doing so many things. Defo. In fact, I will do what my amazing DM who ran Vampire for us, Simon, he always, with any World of Darkness campaign, he just selects a city. That's what he does. So with ours, it was boom, New York campaign, boom, Chicago campaign, boom, London campaign. So I will do the same. I will select a city, and I'll run it in that city. And what he did was, which was the best thing, I mean, he had experience with most of these cities, so he knew roughly the layout of them. So when we wanted to go to the Bronx, for example, in New York, like he had a rough idea, which was so amazing. And I probably won't be able to emulate that, but what I will allow my players to do in a vampire game is to like check out the city, like I'll let them research the real city, and they say we want to go here, I'll be like, sure, like, and I'll riff with it, it'll be improvised, but like I think that'll add a new tone to the game, a new sort of element to it. I really like the way they ran it. So Lloyd says, in last night's Iscloth game, guys watching, if you haven't yet, go over and check out Lloyd's latest game on YardDM, Hunted. Really, really worth a watch. Jeff Doty was in it, spectacular. Taylor Jeffrey, always spectacular. And the legendary Nick Dawson as well. Just 3 stellar players and a really stellar game. And a scary game, really scary. So check that out. But anyway, as Lloyd is saying, last night's Iscloth's game, I gave them an unwinnable situation. No one complained. Yes, Lloyd, but I bet you can argue that no, there was probably no way they were going to win that. The odds were stacked so against them. But that's the thing. It was kind of the point. Like the whole point of that game was like it was survival. I loved it, and what it served as well. It served a really great way of introducing or reintroducing I won't go into it, but a particular character in Lloyd's lore of Iscloth, who is important and terrifying. Okay, so like it's just great. Go and watch it. It's really good. If you want to see like a terrifying encounter, check it out. And I'm gutted as well, because Lloyd was like, do you fancy a game like tonight? And I was like, nah, mate, I'm out. And then I come back and I watch this game, and it's like one of the best he's ever done. And I'm like, damn it. But anyway, Jeff Doty says, not only did we not complain, but in my opinion, it made the session super cool. If we did win, it kind of would have felt ripped off, to be honest. Well, there you go. And that's from the player. That's from the player's mouth. Jeff did a fantastic job in that game. Alan Highway says, I'm too keen if you run World of Darkness, Vamp, Werewolf, Mage. It will be interesting in getting in on that. I will have to, I guess that's it then. I'm going to have to start remembering how to run World of Darkness. It's a pretty simple system. But it has to be done right, and it has to be done with the in-house lore, in my opinion. So I'll do my best to read up on it, and we'll do it. We'll do it. I'll run a few. O'Neill Flynn, hey man, says, I've done the breaking out of jail. It was fun. Exactly. Like, some of the tropes, they just work. There's a reason they're tropes. It's because they can be well done. And think about it, in D&D, when you have a character, I know I'm the same. I fall into a sort of tactically minded kind of fella when I'm in a fight in D&D. I know what works. For instance, if I'm a sorcerer, I know what spells I'm going to use against a particular foe. I have tactics. I know when to withdraw. I know when to advance. I know when to perform certain things. And the same goes for if you're a warrior class or something like that. But if you have your weapons taken away and your armor taken away, like we saw in Lloyd's game, you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to change. So if you're not allowing these things to happen, then you're never gonna get a different game. You're just gonna get the same old. Not on. Mike Lacham says, it's boring if all the encounters are winnable and are only winnable in one way. Bandits, for example. Maybe you could come to terms with them. Maybe you could join them and find out they're robbing only certain groups because they're tyrannical. Yeah, absolutely. Lacham's on point tonight. Yeah, that's a really good point. Absolutely. Neil says, though it wasn't my actions that put me there. See, we've all been in situations where other players have landed us in the shit, and come on, it's part of the fun, isn't it? And you get to burn them for it afterwards as well. Maybe literally sometimes. I'm making myself laugh today. That's really bad. I shouldn't be laughing at my own jokes. I'm tired. I always say that. That's not an excuse. Carol Dunson says sometimes unwinnable ends up being very heroically dead, and that can be pretty cool too. Well, exactly, Carol. Like, if you think about it, if you think of some of the greatest moments in any kind of story, the first thing that jumps to my mind is Boromir taking arrow after arrow, and Amon Hen. I think about Darth Vader lifting the Emperor up and hurling him over the railings to his doom. Some of the best moments happen when you go out fighting. So, like, even if they are going to die, like, they should embrace that. And I mean, after all, this is D&D. Like, if you are like Matt Colville and you've been playing for 30 years, then you should absolutely 100% be aware and prepared for players to be okay with dying, because it's a big part of it. It's fine to get attached, but you've got to understand that it isn't the game unless there's... And to be honest, I don't think he was fully saying that players shouldn't be killed. I just think that he was saying, like, there isn't a chance to win. I think that's what he's saying. So I am getting a bit off tack with that, but, yeah. And I will point out once again that I do really like his stuff. I do like him. I just think that he... I don't know. Like, he to me seems like... someone who is his way or the highway. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen him be quite dismissive of some people, and I'm like, dude, come on. But he seems nice enough, See, I always see the good in people, even though, like, I'm disagreeing with them, because that's the way the world should work. This has gone weird. That's weird. Why am I even going there? Milo Sharm says that's because the dead can't complain. In fact, sometimes they can. Sometimes they complain so much they come back and haunt bloody houses. And you know what? They make new adventures. Being dead things in D&D make adventures. So, even then, even in death, they are providing content. O'Neill says heroic sacrifice. Spot on. So I don't know. What would you say, guys? Has there been a time when you've found yourselves in unwinnable situations? Has there been a time where you've put in unwinnable situations in front of your players? I'm just trying to think if I've done that. I've put people in front of insurmountable odds. That's kind of something that I enjoy doing every now and then. Like when they're like, how the hell are we going to get out of this? I point you to the latest episode of The Lawkeepers. I'm pointing, it's over there. It's out of the window. I don't know why I did that. But latest episode of The Lawkeepers, for example, I don't want to spoil it, but at the end, it doesn't look great for them. Insurmountable odds. There we go. That's a good scenario. They are basically up against... They're in trouble. They're in real trouble. And I did that willingly. I did that willingly and knowingly. Because I'm like, well, you know, it's great when that situation occurs. You know, look at it on paper. Look at the Battle of Helm's Deep on paper. You have 10,000 orcs against like 500 men. Okay, that's an unwinnable situation. Okay, like whose standard are you going on by unwinnable as well? This is what I want to know. Like, what standard are you going by? Because anything can happen. That's the thing. That's the thing about D&D as well. Anything can happen, and that absolutely means that you can get out of some unwinnable situations, but it will mean that also anything can happen to you as well. So if the enemy aren't stupid, they won't lose. Do you know what I mean? And that's one of the things, that's one of the most coveted things that I hear in this community in particular, when running enemies and running antagonists, is that they're not stupid. They shouldn't be stupid. They should be actively trying to kill you. And that does mean sometimes engineering scenarios where people can't escape. Look at the Red Wedding, okay? Look at like any kind of betrayal that's gone down where people know they can get someone into a certain area. Look at Han Solo, yeah? Like there was no getting out of that for him. The Empire were on Bespin, you know? They were waiting for him, you know? Like, and he got frozen in carbonite. They lost. Empire Strikes Back. You don't get Empire Strikes Back if you don't have unwinnable situations. Okay? And I don't care how beer and pretzels you are, you cannot deny that you would love your game to be like Empire Strikes Back. Don't even try and deny it. I get so riled up when I talk about Empire Strikes Back. Because I always talk about Empire Strikes Back. But there we go. I won't apologise. Sorry, not sorry. Lloyd Collins says, I've done it lots and lots of times. One-shots lend themselves really well to the everyone dies at the end trope. Yeah. And that's fine. You know, that's absolutely fine. In fact, the Iskloff game that I was in, that was a everyone dies at the end situation. It wasn't. It was more, if anything, it was more satisfying that we died, because if we had survived, we'd be like, what? How do we do that? You know, like it breaks the internal logic of the world if for some reason in Iskloft, for a bunch of us Vikings, what were we up against? We were up against basically but we basically sailed to like a new world. I can't remember where it was. It was either Ireland or America where we landed. Remind me, Lloyd, please. I'm very sorry. It was a great game though, and we basically ended up fighting the natives, but it was like a couple of ships worth of Vikings versus the entirety of them. Like, it wasn't going to end well. We were on their home turf, we were outnumbered, and they messed us up big time. In fact, no, one of them had a chariot, so I'm guessing Ireland. I think, I can't remember, because the Irish are famed for their chariots. I think. Oh dear, what's happening to me today? O'Neill Flynn says, end the campaign like the Hateful Eight, lol. Yeah. I didn't say the end of that because spoilers, in case you haven't seen it. We know, it doesn't matter. Jeff 30 says, I've definitely ran one-shots where there was no chance in the end. In one of the campaigns I just started recently, the very first battle of the first session was unwinnable. They can be great set pieces to show off key themes and tone and tone of a setting and game. Sorry, I murdered your comment there, but I get what you mean, Jeff. So basically, you're setting up the unwinnable situation to sort of say, this is what the game is. Dude, I did exactly the same. Gonna toot my own horn again because I always no, I'm kidding. But yeah, like session one of the Lawkeepers, like they were up against a problem that they couldn't beat. They couldn't beat the forces of Advent that were marching across the Cloud March to them, but they could outfox them and escape with the book that Advent were after, that Equinox is after, and they succeeded. But they didn't win the fight, so you know. Like, routing. That was them running away. That encounter ended with the players running away. But they were satisfied, at least I think they were. They were elated that they got out of that situation alive. The bridge was collapsing beneath their very feet. People were hanging off the edge and stuff. And you're right, Jeff. It is a really good way of showing, boom, we've got like a really great villain here. We've got like, he's got powerful allies. Like, he has people that follow him. You set it up like at the beginning. Like, it's basically the Star Wars thing. It's Star Wars thing again. Empire hashtag sorry not sorry. It's like if Darth Vader walks onto the bridge of the Tantive 4 at the very beginning of New Hope, and then the rebels just like gun down the stormtroopers and then kill Darth Vader and kick him while he's down. Like, it's like, no, the rebels lost because it continues the story and it emphasizes the villain at this particular point. I know Star Wars is obviously the go-to of all of my explanations, but there we go. Mike Lasham says that Warhammer 40k Fate game we all played, everyone died, but we served the Emperor, so it all balanced out. Exactly, yeah, it was. I don't know what you're talking about, mate, but it sounds like a good idea. And with 40k, absolutely. 40k, the whole point of it is, if you're a Space Marine or a part of the Imperial Guard, that you die in the name of your Emperor and you do it well. That's like the whole point. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It depends on the setting. Like, I think, yeah, if you're dealing with some people that can't, I don't know, maybe he's just played with some very antsy players in his time that get really, really shitty if they don't get what they want in the game. Like, it's not what D&D is about. D&D is never about winning. It's never about winning. And that is something that I will always rigidly cling to. No role-playing game is about winning. Sure, you happen to win some fights occasionally, but yeah, that isn't the purpose of the game, in my mind, at all. Lloyd Collins says it was Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island. It was Fantasy Island, and it was great Fantasy Island. It was really cool. And once again, insurmountable odds, but like, it buys into the setting. Like, Vikings want to die with a weapon in their hand so they can go to Valhalla. Like, who were we to not want to? Who that was an unwinnable situation, and we relished in that fact. We knew what was happening, and we were like, whatever. Instead of trying to win the fight, Nick Dawson's character was like trying to murder one of the other players for what was it? Like, he blamed them for the murder of his daughter or something. Like, he just played a nut job in that game, and it was amazing. Like, and it had nothing to do with trying to beat the objective or beat the bad guys. Like, it was just, that's what he wanted to do in that game, and it happened, and it was so satisfying because of it. Go and check that game out. Well, I'm going to go rewatch it in a bit, I think, because I need to. I really enjoyed that game. And Mike Lasham says Lloyd ran it, I believe, the Warhammer 40k Fate. That sounds awesome. I'll have to give that a go as well. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I'm gonna just hang out for a little bit, but if there's any unwinnable situations that you've thought of that you would put in a game, or you have put in a game, put it in the comments. I'm gonna have a sip of my tea, gonna have a puff, last few comments, and then I'm gonna skedaddle, because Game of Thrones is on in a little bit. I'm gonna watch it on Sky Atlantic whilst it airs over where you are in the States. Where you are, because you're all in the States. Obviously, everyone in this group is in the States and nowhere else, and in the same time zone. Idiot. That sounded like I was being really hard on myself. It's really embarrassing when I say that. I go, give me a situation or give me that, and then like I just get like there's this silence, and then like the ending of my videos are always like, nope, well, no one else wanted to say anything, so never mind. I'll give it a little bit longer. I know what I'll do. Because some people missed it at the beginning. Let's have a wee look. There we go. I love that so much. I can't help it. You know what? I think that's a good way to end it, actually. Because I'm not getting any other comments, and I don't know, and maybe I'm not seeing any further comments. No. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. If you like this video after the fact, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. If you like this video after that, then give it a like. And if you want to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. You know everything that I say at the end of my videos. Just get used to it, okay? Just subscribe or like if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? I'm not telling you to. Thanks for watching. And I hope that all of your performances are up to standard. I winked at the wrong place as well, my god.